Hey, what's up everyone? This is Silver Slayer. First and foremost, I want to thank you for tuning into this video. Now, some of you may be a little worried. Silver has fallen pretty dramatically, but I promise we're going to get to the bottom of this. We're going to figure out why this is happening. Some of you, actually most of you, are also probably extremely happy to hear me announce the date of my giveaway announcement. And it is Wednesday, July 21st, which is also my birthday. So we'll all be able to celebrate. I'm picking 2 winners. So 3 different people are going to be celebrating on that day. The entry video is still open. So trust me, you don't want to miss it. Links in the description if you want a chance to get some free silver shipped straight to your front doorstep. Now, what's going on, right? Silver, platinum, and palladium are in the red, but gold's in the green, right? Why is this happening? Well, you can see the 24-hour chart right here, right? Steady decline. Let's look at the 1-week chart. So it almost looked like it tried to bounce at 26, but then went right back down. And let's look at the 1-month chart. So it looked like, yeah, so there's a lot of support around $26, and then it just shot right down. And here's the thing. Silver is extremely volatile. I call it gold on steroids. It's like a more extreme, more dramatic version of gold. If gold's going to drop 5%, silver's going to drop 10%. It also works for the better though. Gold's going to rise 5%, silver's going to rise 10%. So it can be riskier, but also more opportunistic. Now, we have a couple different things we're going to be covering in this video. We have the chart analysis just to look at the numbers, look at what's going on behind the scenes. But we're also going to be looking at CPM group talking about seasonality, why he thinks this is happening. And, CPM group is always a very reliable source. So, yeah, we have a lot of different things we're going to be covering. I'm also going to be sharing my opinion because when it comes to this type of stuff, I try to calm people down because, look, at the end of the day, prices go up and down every day. But if you're holding for the long term, then this stuff's irrelevant. The only reason this should be affecting you is if you're planning on selling right now. And I hope nobody's planning on selling. All this means is you can buy your silver for cheaper because I can promise, whether it's the dollar index, strengthening, which is pushing prices lower, whatever the case is, it's not going to last forever. This could be a slight correction, but this is only an opportunity to buy silver for cheaper, especially with the insanely high premiums we're paying for these coins right now. So let's jump into this. Let's see what's happening. Now, here's what's going on behind the scenes. So silver consolidates its biggest daily loss in a month below $26. Now, we're going to be going over a lot of numbers that you might not understand, a lot of words that might not make sense to you, but it's okay. We're going to be going over all of this. So silver refreshes intraday top following a bounce off the monthly low. Clings to the 61.8% Fibonacci retracement. It's sustained trading below the 200 daily moving average, which keeps sellers hopeful. So silver prints corrective pullback. So this is a correction near the monthly bottom. Now it's up 0.12% intraday around $25.70. And this is amid Monday's Asian trading session. So in doing so, the white metal seesaws around 61.8% Fibonacci retracement of the March-May upside. Although the upward sloping momentum line suggests that the bearish move is strong, a daily closing below the stated key Fibonacci retracement level becomes necessary to witness the fresh selling pressure. So right now it does look like we're in a bear market, but that could change. That you guys know, bear markets and bull markets with precious metals in this crazy time right now don't hold much weight. Following that, June's low near $25.50, also the lowest since mid-April, will be the key as a downside break, of which won't hesitate to challenge the April 13th low near $24.65. And just to give a little bit of insight, for the last decade, the average price of silver was $15. I remember the first time silver broke above $20 in July 2016, and that was crazy, right? That was crazy. But nowadays, we are so desensitized to these higher prices since silver hit $30, especially since most people got into silver from Wall Street silver, Wall Street bets pushing over So they're so used to $30 because that's when they started investing, that now if it's down $5, they panic. And please do not sell right now. Please do not panic sell right now. If anything, you should be buying or holding. And yes, holding is a strategy as well. People always think they need to be buying, selling, or trading, right? But holding is also a strategy, and sometimes that's the best way to go. Meanwhile, further recovery of silver prices depends upon the breakout of the 200 daily moving average level of $25.86. So we have a lot of resistance and support levels. If you guys don't know what those are, I'll show you right here. So let's look at something like this. So the resistance level would be around $28 right here. Resistance is what it's trying to break above. And if it breaks above the resistance, usually goes into overbought territory and goes up pretty fast. Now, the support level is what it's trying not to break below. So see this $26 level? Once it broke past that, here, let's go to like the 1 month. Once it broke past that, it's just going to shoot down. See where the $26 level was? When it broke past, it's going to go into oversold territory, and you're going to see a lot of selling, which pushes the price down lower, lower, lower. But anyways, so right now it's looking like the commodity advances past $26.25 will be tested by a downward sloping trend line. And that's what I was kind of just talking about, as well as the monthly high near $26.75. So to sum up everything, silver remains on the bears' radar despite the latest bounce. So it looks like things might stay bearish, but like I said, we know within a couple of weeks or a month at most, I would say, silver might be at this low level, so take advantage of it. I mean, we all know that around this time of the year, you know, the dog days of summer, and then the holidays coming up, a lot of people sell their silver to buy Christmas presents and all. I know it sounds silly, but it's true. But yeah, so I also want to show this video from CPM Group because he does make a very good point about the seasonality treasury truce. Try to say that 3 times fast. But anyways, let's see what he has to say.
A lot of ground to cover. We want to talk about the markets at mid-year and what the first half has brought. Talk about seasonality in the precious metals markets and what it means at this time of year. I have a concept called treasury truths. Some of the issues about U.S. Treasury debt market. As with seasonality, there's some things going around, comments going around that are not necessarily accurate. And we'll talk a little bit about treasury truths going forward. And then I have a few final comments about fear and loathing in the precious metals markets. So that's the update. In terms of what's happened, you know, you can see here, gold prices have had a mixed bag. And it's funny because we spent a lot of time with people telling us how gold prices are very low. Just this morning, I had a colleague talking about why it was that gold prices had not responded. And I said, well, gold prices reached a record level last August, and they've come off, but they at $1,820, which is the price right when we're recording this. Gold prices are very high. They're higher than they've been at any time prior to late last year, the second half of 2020, by a wide margin. Well, with one little spike up in 2011 and 2012. So you still have high prices. But I guess it is critical to note that while the gold price peaked in August of 2020, it is not that high again. Silver prices on the right-hand side also peaked in 2020, in early August of 2020, came down, they moved sideways. You see one little spike up at the in the first quarter, which we'll get back to that one in a bit, but basically it's been there. Now, there has been weakness over the course of July, not in the first couple of days, but after the last several days. We've seen gold prices come back down, and then they came back up a little bit. And silver prices have been sort of moving in a very narrow range of around 25.50 to 26.91 over the course of, well, really since the middle of June. So you're in a kind of a quiet period. And we've been a little bit worried about another leg down. But as July has proceeded, and now we're getting into the second half of July and we're moving toward the August COMEX delivery period, we are less concerned about that kind of decline. And in fact, over the last couple of days, we saw gold prices rise very sharply. Silver still hasn't been able to break above that 27 figure, but it hasn't broken down below the 25.50 either. We think the probability of that next spike down is reduced compared to where it was 2 weeks ago. And the probability that gold prices will rise over the next 2 weeks and silver might follow it have increased.
Now, I'm going to pause right there for a second. I know that was kind of lengthy. I'm sorry if some of you didn't want to sit through that entire thing, but he was making several different points that I do want to stop and talk about. So first, he was talking about gold actually being high when people think it's low. And that was kind of what I was just saying. You know, people think that silver's low at 25, but you got to remember, since 2011, silver's been down to like $15, $16. The only time I saw it break above 20 was in July of 2016, right? And especially for something like gold broke past $2,000 last year, but still, it's not doing much. So even at these high prices, there's going to be little sell-offs and little corrections, but that's nothing compared to what it's been at. And if it drops down to $24 and that's the bottom, that's where the price has stabilized. That's still extremely well, even looking to last year. The only time we saw silver really do anything was from last year. So a lot of new stackers that are desensitized to higher prices, they think that this is low. But if you've been stacking silver for at least a couple of years, you would know that all these prices are high. Now, if you bought in at $30 and you're like, well, my investment's down $5, then you know, if you're in the red right now, well, you just got to think about the bigger picture. Do you really think that silver is going to be sitting at $25 in 2, 3, 4 years from now? Even a year from now? No, no. So if you're not planning on selling for another 5, 10, 15 years, then this should not worry you. Now, he did talk about some other things as well. He even said that he does not think that, you know, actually for the next couple of months, he was mentioning how there's a high probability that these markets will bounce back, right? They're going to bounce back. And I don't see how any, you know, because there's a lot of back things that are happening, right? We had the Basel III, then we have the FOMC, Federal Chairman Jerome Powell talking about interest rates and all that stuff. And there's actually a couple more things as well. So, and these are all weekly events, back to back weeks. So you're going to see prices moving up from one thing, down from another thing, sideways from another thing. So yes, there's going to be a lot of choppiness, especially with silver, since it's a much smaller market than gold. It's more volatile. Now, I do want to hear what he has to say about seasonality, so I'm going to skip through the video. I don't want to have you guys sit through the entire thing just to look for some key points he makes, so I'm going to do that, and we'll jump right into it.
I want to talk a little bit about seasonality and what it means in the precious metals markets now. We've actually seen some people saying, well, seasonality is going to drive gold and silver prices up July and August. These are the four seasonalities: gold, silver, platinum, palladium. I'd say that, yeah, okay, July is the weakest month traditionally on average since 1992, and we use a seasonality calculation that weighs recent years more heavily than past years. So yes, from a seasonal perspective, July and August tend to be the weakest periods of time for gold prices. And then you tend to see prices increase into September, October, November. So that may well continue again. So you might see strength, you might expect seasonal strength, but you wouldn't be expecting it in July and August. That said, and I've mentioned this in previous videos, 2019 and 2020 saw the seasonality overruled, and July and August, actually July was a very strong month in 2019 and 2020 for specific events in those years that caused investors to come into the markets and buy a lot of gold and silver, driving the prices up in July. They fell back in August. but so the seasonality can get overridden by.
So yeah, it does look like through July, and in August, there are patterns, right? There are patterns, but at the end, he does mention these patterns can be broken. If you want to talk about crazy prices, we're living in crazy times and expect the unexpected now more than ever because things are not normal. Maybe, for the last decade or so, things could be quote unquote normal. And I say decade because you got to remember silver was $50 in 2011. So that really was after that $50 mark and it dropped back down, things have been pretty normal ever since. But this is the first time we're seeing something out of the blue happen again. And yes, this could, you got to think of it like this as well. If you want to compare 1980, 2011, both $50 silver. Now, the identical, the situation is almost identical to what led silver to $50 in 2011, right? Recession slash depression, credit crisis, $1 billion stimulus, $50 silver. So we're in a recession slash depression, credit financial crisis, $1 trillion stimulus, right? So if that led silver to $50, think of what today's time could lead silver. Plus, we have a global situation. So we could look at these patterns. We could talk about seasonality, but you still have to remember that there's a lot of other things that are happening that are going to put silver on top. So this stuff is just to look at for the smaller picture, the over analyzing for the people that are trading and marginal trading and all that stuff. Maybe this is for you, but the whole point is for true silver stackers that are buying and holding. This stuff shouldn't affect you emotionally at all. And if it does, then you might want to take a step back because a lot of people are emotionally attached, and that can lead to irrational decision making, panic selling, impulse buying, all that stuff. Those two words itself are the stacker's worst nightmare. That most people lose a lot of money in investing, period, not just precious metals, from panic selling or impulse buying. And that's all from fear. That's all from being too emotionally attached, and you're not making rational decisions. Now, yes, I do agree that seasonality could affect this stuff. Yes, usually these months, things are a little more crazy because we are in the dog days of summer. The holidays are about to come up and everything. But still, right now, if the price is $1 lower, $2 lower, it's all that means is you can buy silver for cheaper. So there are probably, there's probably some people out there that are a little worried, but like I keep saying, at the end of the day, I wouldn't worry too much. I wouldn't worry at all, actually. I'd be happy. And that's another point. It's funny how when the price is higher, people are happy, but when the price is lower, people are worried. And it should be the opposite. When the price is low, that's when you should be happy because you can buy it for cheaper. If you go to the store and look at a pair of shoes you want, wouldn't you be happier if the shoes are on a discount instead of you go there and the shoes are spiked up really high? If you're not planning on selling for another 10 years, then why in the world would you want the price to be higher right now? Do you need validation? Do you need confirmation that silver can go higher? Because trust me, it can, and it is worth a lot more than $26. So there's no reason why you should want the price to go higher anytime soon. The only time you should want the price to go higher is right when you're about to sell. Right? Because if it's higher right now and it keeps going higher and you're not selling, then that just means you have to pay a higher price for silver. But regardless, the prices are going to go up and down. That's just how it is. That's how investing works, right? But just hopefully you're buying the dips and selling the tops, not buying the tops and hoping the top goes higher, because that's gambling. That's not investing. But anyways, I'm going to wrap this video up here. I did want to show some of that stuff because he made some good points about what silver prices are doing compared to gold and the seasonality aspect, which that is something that's probably overlooked more than it should be. Because if you look at patterns, then you can get a good idea. Like a couple months ago, we could have probably looked at what's, the summer that's coming ahead, and we could have incorporated that a little bit into our strategy, knowing what happens usually during these months and in these seasons. So it does make sense, and maybe that's something that you can start adjusting and adapting to. But like I said, right now, anything is possible, right? We're living in crazy times, and if you want to talk about crazy silver prices, we're living in that. If silver was ever going to hit $100, right now would be the time, right? Throughout history, if you could go 50 years in the future and say, okay, when do you think silver would hit $100? It would be right now, right? If you could look back and see everything that's happening right now compared to the last couple decades, right now would make the most sense. I mean, hands down, it would. But anyways, I'm gonna wrap this video up here. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this. What do you think about these prices being low? Are you worried? Are you taking advantage of it? When do you think it's gonna bounce back? What do you think? So yeah, I'd love to hear what you have to say. My next video will be posted at 10 a.m. tomorrow, and it is a good one, a very, very good video. I asked hundreds of silver stackers what they think silver's true price is, and I got the average. Someone that works for me went through every single price, calculated, added them all up, divided it by the number of people that entered. So we literally got an average price of what all of you think silver should be. It's going to be a really cool video, really interesting video, really fun video. So make sure you tune in 10 a.m. Eastern Standard. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. Oh yeah, go enter my giveaway as well. This is Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.